Hi, I'm Kalkowski. Welcome to Kalkowski Family Ranches. I'm here today with my entire family. My 4 sons, Jeff, Tim, Chris, John, and their families, and our ranch foreman, Brad and Heidi Froman, and their family. We're very happy to be the recipients of the 2010 Leopold Conservation Award. We hope you enjoyed the tour of our ranch today. My name is Kalkowski, and I've been a part of this land for over 50 years. My husband and I met at the University of Nebraska after he had served a stint in the United States Army, and it was his plan from the day I met him to come back to this country and to take that 160 acres that he had purchased shortly after he got out of high school and make it grow. And so that's what we did. We were educators. We lived 80 miles from here, taught school, and made it our goal in life to increase acreage and make this place bigger and better than what it was.
Agriculture is the foundation of our society. Everyone must eat. And our father brought us up with the idea of the importance of the land, and I've learned through time the importance of agriculture to our society, especially to the state of Nebraska. And that importance is something that I think we need to pass on to all people across the state so that they understand that it all starts here.
I have many examples of people that helped inspire me to work on conservation practices, and one of those people is my next oldest brother, Chris, because when I first started working the land, he was my example and he was my model who taught me how to do whatever it is that we were implementing. And so his #1 rule for me growing up was always to work hard. And we would work from sun up to sundown, and he instilled that sort of work ethic in me, and he continues to do that. He's the hardest working person I've ever met, and so it was always good to have that example. And his example came from our father, who instilled that and truly believed in that as well.
My son simply took his practices and ran with them. Moved about in the larger world, tried to always be in contact with people who were doing things so that they got new ideas, and they were always willing to try to make what their father started just a little better.
I think the inspiration for all of us is probably the future generations. When we think of conservation, we think of leaving the land and the resources better for the next generation. So that would be our description and why we do what we do. One thing that we think is very important at K-Land and Cattle and Kalkowski Enterprises is our rotational grazing system. My dad developed it, and since then we've tried to improve on it. One thing we did is we created a formula based on weight of cattle, and by that formula we can take cattle in for longer number of days or more number of head, and we started front loading cattle, and we think that's really helpful on our grass, where we will graze harder when the cool season grasses are going strong, and so we might front load it with extra numbers and graze it for fewer days. In our rotational system, we have a 6 pasture rotation for every group of cattle. Every pasture has at least 1 livestock dam, if not 2 or 3, and then we have an outside water source like pipeline for each pasture. and then we rotate those pastures early to catch the cool season grasses, and then we will come back later in the year and rotate him slower through until we're done.
Where I'm standing just a year ago was completely filled with cedar trees. Removal of cedar trees is a very important process for us because as a cedar tree grows, its branches fan out and will kill all of the grass beneath it. Plus, a cedar tree will also take tons of the water that these grasses need from the soil. So we remove them and stack them in piles to reestablish our pasture ground.
Our operation has always been an intergenerational approach because we eventually had 4 sons of our own, and we always knew that we weren't just doing this for a short time. Our children, our grandchildren are our focus now. And so sustainability is about making it better for them, letting them help us make it better, but we're always looking about what will last over the long haul, because someday we're going to be gone. It will be in the hands of our grandchildren. We've always known that we may own the land, but really we're just the caretakers for a little while. The land is here, but we move on.
It's important that we share with the people in eastern Nebraska, the people in the cities across our nation, that agriculture is the foundation, and the Leopold Award is one way to bring that to the forefront for people that live in the city to see. A lot of people have come to us and said congratulations on winning the award, and to me it's not winning. We're a recipient. We're one recipient. It's a humbling honor. But I look around and there's a lot of people out there that do more than what we do. There's people all throughout the Midwest that take care of the land. And so being a recipient is an honor. We've been very fortunate with our ability to work with some outside organizations. We have worked heavily with the Natural Resources Conservation Service. We're also fortunate to have a friend that comes up several times a year with us that works for the NRCS, so we get a second set of eyes from a different part of the state, and we spend a lot of time visiting with him, trying to find new ways to do things or better ways to do things.
The EQIP programs have been very beneficial too, for like shelter belts and pipelines and helping funding some of those projects. The long-term sustainability of conservation practices is very important to all of us. I have a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and they've heard me say many different times in regards to the ranch that this is going to be their inheritance from me. And trying to just, start the initial process of getting them to understand that, what it involves being a part of all this, and try to instill that responsibility and that pride factor of being part of all this. And I see it with my nephews, especially because they're coming of age to where they're starting to take some of the work responsibility too. And I work very closely with both Cade and Logan especially, that when we're up here, they've heard me say many, many different times that, this is yours someday. So learn to do it right and make sure that you're learning the correct practices, so when it is yours, you can continue this on.
My husband Larry's perhaps greatest legacy was all about conservation. From the time my sons were very young, he drummed into them the idea that we had a responsibility to the land, and that it was our duty to somehow leave it a little bit better than the way it was when we obtained it.
If you take care of the land, it will take care of you, and that all things working together in a symbiotic relationship. That becomes very important to us because all things come from the earth, and if we take care of it, we will reap the rewards.